Energy vampires are so simple to understand. They're really predictable. I've had so many experiences with energy vampires that, to me, I know what to expect. I can detect, I can spot an energy vampire, and I don't have to be frustrated. I don't have to have anger turned inwards. I don't have to be terribly disappointed. And I really wish that for you. I really wish that you can experience people in a very specific way. People that are out to harm you, people who have malicious intent and want to bring pain into your life. They want to break what you've tried to build. You're on this channel, you want to learn about how to have beautiful things in your life with beautiful people, right? You put so many hours into things that people may not be conscious you're building, and it can be frustrating because ideally people that come into your life meet your expectations. You expect good things, and then when you come across people who are less than ideal, who try to take away from you, who try to distract you, it can naturally be something that draws your attention to something that honestly is really hopeless and really pointless to try to repair, pointless to try to build, right? I have that experience so often that I actually get experiences where I don't even have hope for the other person. I meet someone new, they don't know who I am, I don't know who they are, but I expect to have a similar experience as I did in the past, because the experience of people trying to rip me off happens so frequently. And that's where things get really bad, when your instincts are skewed, when you block your heart, right? Those are some of the consequences that I know I've experienced in my life as well. Blocking my heart, thinking twice about whether or not someone is even worth speaking to, if someone's even worth trying to encourage, because you're just like the last person. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing these patterns, right? It can be really difficult for you to listen to your instincts, and it can be really difficult for you to open up your heart when you have enough experiences with energy vampires, right? So I've worked 41 jobs in my life. I want to talk about the workplace. And of course, I have a family. I haven't seen my family since 2017. So I have two sisters that I haven't seen since 2017. That's 7 years now. And I have two parents that are still alive. And I made the decision to leave my family in 2017 because I happened to notice some patterns that are similar to some of the patterns I see in a lot of people at work, in all 41 of those jobs, in a lot of people that were roommates of mine. I've had many roommate experiences. I've been homeless on 2 separate occasions, both for 9 months. So I'm rich in experiences when it comes to the topic of energy vampires. There should be no reason why I don't completely knock this one out of the park. When I think of the topic of energy vampires, I think about how many people have come into my life with the same problem. I know their names. I've written down their names before. I've kept track of their names. I've written down a lot of vocabulary, a lot of words that I'm about to say to you guys in this video that will help you see some patterns in the people around you. And I've thought about ways to to the best way to handle them, the best way to maintain my energy, to maintain that vitality, to maintain that love in my body. And it's something that I don't believe is discussed enough. I don't believe that what I'm about to say is discussed enough. I really don't. And as a primary responsibility for the relationships that I have for the people around me, I feel like this is a topic that I want to introduce because I know how common it is, how people fall into this type of pattern, type of environment, getting in a toxic environment, opening the door for the devil. And I'm excited, guys. I'm excited about sharing this with you. I've thought about what I'm about to tell you guys for my entire flight here to Miami. I'm in Miami right now, from Canada, from Montreal. And this means the world to me, that you're listening to this. It means the world to me. There's a few rules before I start this video. There's a few ways that you have to process this information for it to have its intended effect. This is loaded with emotions that trigger you, this video, and the videos that I'm about to follow up on the topic of energy vampires. This video is going to talk about the anatomy of deception. So there's going to be a lot of pain that gets elicited from hearing the things that I say. I'm going to say some things and you're going to say, oh my God, exactly, that's exactly what I'm experiencing from people that I love. And when you do that, it's going to distract you from handling energy vampires in a competent way. This is not intended to trigger you. I've had so many times where I've thought about deception, I've thought about the snakes that have come into my life, the human snakes that have come into my life. I've ranked them and I've thought about who's tried to cause me the most amount of pain in my life. And I write their names out, I write how many hours I've worked with them and how many hours I've been in their space. What do they do? And that's been really helpful for me to know myself in that way, to know what draws me to negative energy, what draws me like a magnet, what just immediately captures my attention, right? Why does talking about unfair treatment draw my attention? Why does talking about someone being distant, cold, offensive, provoking, pathetic, for lack of a better word, why does that immediately elicit a reaction from me? You know, what's going on there? Is there a way that I can stop doing that? Is there a way that I can just maintain my momentum for positive vibes? You know, this is the main thing that's really brought me to thinking about the topic of energy vampires. I've had to have deep acceptance that there's always snakes in the garden, no matter where I go, and for me to be emotionally available and for others not to drain my energy, I'm gonna have to approach this in a completely different way, other than just being disappointed, being upset. Allowing another person to interrupt my vibe. You know, I'm out here, I'm trying to have deep peace in my body, and I do things that are really important to me. Maintaining a good vibe is really important to me. Being in a good mood, getting excited about my day. and treating it special, treating it like it's my last moment, treating people like they're important, like they're special, having a sense of alertness that's captivating, having a sense of optimism that's captivating. Nothing, it stands out, nothing less than special. That's what I wish for myself. I have highly curated words, highly curated beliefs, highly curated vocabulary that I work really hard to maintain. And when I go into an environment where I know what to expect, I can expect the person that I'm about to be in the same room with just orbit around me, look and listen for words or things that I'm saying to use against me, using information against me, and their commitment to cherishing resentment, their commitment to being paranoid, their commitment to being threatened, their commitment to treating me like I'm invisible, their commitment to treating me in a way that you're so inconveniencing, you're so rotten. Treating me like I'm rotten, treating me like I'm not worth being looked at, I'm not worth saying hi to, I'm not worth saying bye to, I'm not worth asking how your day was. And this can go on and on for many weeks, many months. And, you know, people get used to that. And, you know, sometimes people grow up that way. They have a household like that where there's a lot of chaotic energy, there's a lot of chaos, right? And seeing someone that's really alert, has stars behind their eyes, and really happy, that can be really unusual. They even think it's inauthentic, they even think it's fake, they even think it's a performance, they even think it's mimicking truth, they think it's disingenuine because they're so addicted to a specific emotional homeostasis. They're so addicted and so caught in a low vibration, right? They're so apathetic, they're so cold, they're so distant, they're so disengaged, they're so stressed out, they're so nervous, and it's so visible. You know, you can see how uninterested they are, how they're thinking about ways to be short, thinking about ways of being dismissive, right? That when I look at people like that, I can tell that they think it's normal. They really think that, you know, I'm just being myself. I'm not, this isn't forced. This is really who I am. Meanwhile, so much of their life is about using up so much energy blocking, using up so much energy having aversion, right? Of thinking of ways to harm another person. And sometimes they'll even put on performance and mimic truth and pretend like they're friend, pretend like they're in the room, like they're not listening to anything, pretend like it's just a normal day, pretend like they don't have malicious intent to use information against you. And when they're in that space, when they're in that room with you, what's going on is you know that that's what they're doing, and it's subtle, like a snake. A snake is a perfect predator because a snake is subtle. They're really, well, it's not subtle for me because I've seen so many snakes, but you know, the idea behind hiding, deflecting by blaming you, accusing you, trying to get into your head, trying to say things that'll elicit stress in you, trying to say things that try to put the blame on you, try to put your attention towards your behavior, try to make you feel guilty. They view you as someone self-sacrificing. They view you as somebody who is easily manipulated. They see you as someone who's naive, who's someone who would abandon themselves and try to people please, and they're self-sacrifice, they view as self-sacrificing, they're targeting you for a reason. They're targeting you because they view you as somebody that's an easy target, and you also have light, you also have energy to drain, right? You have energy to drain. That's the reason why they're pretending to be on your level, caring. That's why they're pretending like nothing's happening when they're in the room. That's why they're trying to use information against you, pretending to do something while really they have malicious intent. So there's reasons why they're targeting you. And you have to understand how another person is experiencing you for you to know how to spot an energy vampire. You see that? A lot of times, I will play along with an energy vampire. I'll pretend to be self-sacrificing, naive, like I don't know anything, and I'll bait them into conversations, because what's really happening is I know they view me as somebody who's worth targeting and who's pretending to be my friend to use information against me. I'll give them the territory and I'll watch them week in, week out, try to find something they don't like about me, right? They don't give me eye contact. Anytime they do give me eye contact, it's a look of disappointment. It's a look of, I have to tolerate you. You're such baggage. They hurl remarks at you and leave. That's a common one that I've experienced. People that are energy vampires thinking that I won't pick up on the fact that what they're doing is they're provoking or trying to get attention by saying something in a conversation that I'm having with someone else and then leave the room really quickly so that there's no opportunity, there's no time to actually address the indirect communication. But I'll be okay with it. I'll affectionately disengage with energy vampires. That's a specific skill. I've had the skill for many years, and I didn't even know that that's what it's called until recently. I learned online that this is actually something that people commonly do, that people will, like monks will do this to protect their energy from energy vampires, but they'll affectionately disengage, which basically means it's a skill that you can develop to just maintain the light and the positive energy in your body, but also have the boundary, have the no. So that's what I do with people that I know are energy vampires. I'm pretty much having fun with these guys. I know that I'm having a conversation in the room with somebody that I appreciate. We keep it light. We talk about things that just make us laugh, that bring joy. The energy vampire knows that it's important for me to be positive, to share great experiences with people that I work with. And so what this energy vampire will do, for instance, is they'll listen in on the conversation, and then right before they're about to leave, make a remark about what I said, and basically try to make a remark about my beliefs or my way of thinking and say that it's warped in some way. They'll start to say, you actually think that way, or you must be the enemy, or you must be evil, you know, in a less direct way. But they'll make a remark about something I had just said to point out my flaws. They're all about fault finding, you know. You can expect them to shut down, contract, be resentful, be bitter, find things to use against me, fault find. It has to be about disappointment. It has to be about killing the vibe. It has to be about sucking energy out of the room. It has to be about saying something to make themselves feel better while putting you down. These things, these are the ways that they gain energy. I know that. I know that that's what is important to an energy vampire, the way, say, drugs are to a drug addict, the same way I would see at the homeless shelters that I stayed at. I stayed at homeless shelters, and I would see drug addicts crave drugs the way that energy vampires crave some of the things that I had just mentioned. They crave it because it brings them relief. They get a feeling of worth. They get a feeling of power, of agency. It's overcompensation behavior, overcompensation issues to make themselves feel visible, to make themselves feel better by putting others down. And a lot of times, like I said, I've experienced this, so putting me down. They don't think I know anything about this. Meanwhile, what's actually happening is, the conversations that I have in the room with people that I do like having conversations with, that I appreciate, that are about joy, light, just keeping things pleasant and warm and inviting and welcoming and I see you vibes, nothing stressful. Those people, while I appreciate those guys, I also appreciate what energy vampires bring to the table. Energy vampires don't know this. They really don't, because their intended effect is really to bring me down. But I'm not romantic at all about people who want to be in my life or want to exclude themselves out of my life. You can do either or because you're really helping me out. If you don't want to be in my life, then that's a great thing, because I don't want to be in a room with people who don't want to be around me. I'm not upset or hurt about that. Why would I be upset and hurt about that? That's so obviously my opinion in my mind. It's not confusing at all. I'm just as excited about excluding people who don't want to be in my life as I am including people who do want to be in my life. They're both great. God is good. God will bring people into my life that I know I want to be around. God will exclude people that I'm not supposed to be around. And I know that. There's nothing that's confusing or stressful at all about it for me. There really isn't. So it's really interesting. I say that because it's interesting what an energy vampire thinks is happening is not actually happening. It's just like they feel they're doing it clearly because it's what they live for. It's so addictive. It brings them a sense of relief. And sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not conscious. What I really believe with relationships a lot of times is that it's not conscious. And that's why I love talking about it, It's like a secret. We're talking about energy vampires, what's motivating them, what they're drawn to, how they became energy vampires out here. And we're doing a good job. We're doing a great job. Because it's important to have fun doing this. It's hard to laugh about it when you're talking about people you love, like say your family members, any kind of extended family members from say the people, someone that you're intimate with, so a sister-in-law, a mother-in-law. That's when things can get pretty challenging. Everyone has difficulty with boundaries. Everybody has challenging conversations with people that they just want to include in their life. And when people make it complicated, it can be pretty frustrated. You can see people that are committed to making things complicated, and it's hard to have a smile on your face. It's hard to be like me and laugh about energy vampires. But I know how important it is for me to have an enjoyable time spotting deception, have an enjoyable time putting people on blast and saying, man, I'm glad I didn't wrestle with a pig, because a pig enjoys wrestling. He likes getting messy, so there's no point in wrestling with a pig. Dark toast to Ross Rosenberg. I read a book called The Human Magnet Syndrome. It's an absolutely fantastic resource that talks about a relationship dynamic between a narcissist and a codependent, and how both of them really need each other, a human magnet syndrome, for them to feel satisfied in a relationship, for them to feel a sense of worth, for them to feel that sense of completeness, right? And it's easy to be empathetic to the codependent because they're in a obviously compromised relationship. They're in a compromised state where they're sacrificing so much of themselves. And it's like, why are you in an abusive relationship? I've always been confused about that myself. Like, why are people in abusive relationships? And I've explored that deeply, right? It makes no sense. They stay in a relationship, it's so abusive, and it's like, clearly you can just get out. You can just walk away and you can spot the signals of a toxic relationship, spot energy vampires, and view that as a primary responsibility, right? The relationship dynamic is something that is unbelievably important to an energy vampire. An energy vampire is counting on you not to be able to understand that they want to have a specific relationship dynamic where you're compromised, you're self-sacrificing, you're naive, you're at the effect and they're at the cause. So they say and do one thing and then you react, and they're counting on you not to be able to detect that, and they're counting on you to maintain that. They're counting on you to stay in the relationship. They're counting on you to keep it quiet, don't tell anybody, don't make noise. They're counting on you to maintain the secret. They have a secret to manage and they have a threat to avoid. It's like you're the threat, because if you go out and tell people about what's happening, then they'll lash out at you. They'll try to put the blame back on you and try to make you feel guilty. But if you don't feel guilty, if you know what they're up to, if you're not trying to maintain a secret with them, and you're not trying to manage a threat, then you can be free. You can affectionately be disengaged, know what's happening, be forgiving, treat this like there's value so that you can keep the meaning alive. They're trying to not just drain energy from you and treat you like you're invisible and insignificant, but what's really happening is they're trying to create an environment where you feel meaningless. Like, it feels like talking to you is hopeless, talking to you is meaningless. They want to see you be defeated. They want to see you be defeated. They don't want you to be optimistic. So if you show signals of being optimistic, joy, forgiving, unthreatened, not trying, uninhibited, uncensored, censoring is so big for energy vampires. Censoring is so big for energy vampires. They're just hiding, trying to keep a secret, trying to keep it quiet, fault finding, trying to invite themselves into conversations that they're just uninviting, they're just walking into. They're not even invited to these conversations. They're in the room, they're in the workplace with you, and they're really counting on you to not know what micromanaging means. The only time they talk to you and the only time there's a lot of energy is when they're fault finding and they're under the guise of keeping it professional. But it is not professional. They're using that. They're using work, they're using family, they're using roommates, they're using fill in the blank, whatever other environment, as an opportunity to be combative, to maintain that combative energy in that life, to maintain that sense of drama, which is such a drug for them, that choreography of the discussion, which is like passive aggressive conversations. Passive aggressive gestures, behaviors. I'm tolerating you. You're invisible. You don't mean anything. Your conversations are meaningless. Your conversations are boring. Meanwhile, you know, like, yeah, you deserve to have a great time. You deserve to have a special experience. You deserve to keep it light. And you're just gonna have to learn how to have fun with these people. All right? I'm gonna make more videos so that you can be so confident in seeing social signals of exclusion, social signals of patterns, social signals that another person is looking for permission to be combative, looking for permission, looking at you as the drug dealer, looking at you as the pipe, looking at you as the thing that can satisfy them. I'm going to be talking more about filling a void. You are being used as a void filler for an energy vampire. So come back to my next video, guys. It's going to be a series of videos that I make on energy vampires. I've been meaning to make this type of videos for a really long time. And I'm going to also discuss a lot about how those people multiply their problems. Dirty Dark Toast, God bless.